with intros. So my name is Jérémie Bernardin. I am one of the original founders of All EV, and I'm the business development manager. All EV Canada is an electric vehicle only dealership. It makes us quite unique. Our Halifax store is the largest pre-owned electric vehicle dealership in Canada. We have one location in every Atlantic province, so we're in four provinces. And what makes us kind of special is not only do we sell a lot of electric vehicles, but we service all makes and models of electric vehicles. And we have a lot of expertise in-house, and we've developed some really, really interesting products like undercoating for electric vehicles that use specialized products and tools that don't harm the wiring or the battery, and we have experts that are applying them. We also have things like state of health reports that are unique that we've been developing for quite some time. We'll dive into what that means and why that's important. We also happen to have 168 electric vehicles in stock and about 80 on the way. So we have a gigantic inventory. A lot of cars for you guys to try of all price ranges. This photo here is a lot full of Teslas, but we have all sorts of lower cost EVs as well. Ryan, over to you.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Graves. I'm the sales and operations manager here at Sunshine Renewable Energy. A little bit about my past, being a car guy myself. I've worked in the car business for just about 9 years. Pleasure working with some high-end manufacturers like Porsche, Volvo, Land Rover, Jaguar, both in sales and sales management, and then transitioning over to the domestic world, working for Ford for 4 years. So really good exposure to all sorts of different brands, two very different markets. As things progressed over the years, being a car guy, electrification became things like the Porsche Taycan became available, and the Ford Lightning, and all these amazing vehicles and all these electrifications and plug-in hybrids and all the things Jeremy's going to go through in this presentation really sparked the interest of what is renewable energy and really electrification. How is that a bigger part of our home with these vehicles being able to connect with things and reduce our carbon footprint and reduce our energy costs and together build a greener future. So that was kind of the renewable energy space was the next frontier of my career, and I've been with Sunshine now for about 5 months. Very much a car guy. Jeremy and I connected to kind of put this presentation together to make it understand for people how all of these things connect, because it can be a lot, and there's a lot of pieces that we're going to go through. So some exciting stuff.
And Ryan, you want to touch quickly, Sunshine Renewable Energy, what is your top 3 things that you guys do?
Yeah, so we're a renewable energy contractor, or really an electrification contractor, I guess, if you will. So we do heat pumps, we do solar panels, we do service upgrades, so that paneling upgrades in your home. We do electric car chargers. Anything that connects to electricity in some fashion, we do it. And we do a lot of, with respect to renewable energy, obviously solar panels. We do a lot of heat pumps. We have all trades in-house. One of the benefits to Sunshine is we don't subcontract anything. So when it comes to the electrical, the HVAC, the refrigeration, all that stuff is done in-house by us. So it makes it really easy for our customers. And we're a non-commission, non-deposit organization. So when we come to your home to give you a free assessment, it's all about what are your goals, how do we achieve that, and how do we make it easier on the homeowners.
Awesome. And Ryan, one of the reasons you and I talk so much and nerd out, one of my prior careers, I was in an energy research lab, a renewable energy research lab. So I too have quite a bit of passion for, battery storage and solar panels and all sorts of energy efficiency upgrades and things. So there's gonna be lots of interesting things that we're going to talk about today, but there is a Q&A button for all the participants. There is a chat room for if people want to chat to each other, but I'm seeing Nancy's comment here. That's more of a question for us. If you'd be so kind to put all of the questions in the Q&A section, that'll really help us navigate through them at the very end, but feel free to start shooting your questions right now. I bet we'll cover a lot of them, potentially not all of them through the presentation. And at the very end, we're going to carve away some time to make sure that we get a really cool, fun, and engaging conversation going. So when people reach out to us and whether it's electric vehicles or energy efficiency and renewable energy, there's often some overall themes. Why are people reaching out and what are they interested in? And often it's lower operating costs, it's the energy independence, and that's being free of the whims and the ups and downs of the price of fuel, the price of your oil for your home furnace, the cost of your electricity, which is pretty steady, but it does rise over time. And if you install solar, you've kind of locked in your cost of electricity for the next 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people, talk about carbon footprint, and we'll be talking about that. One question we hear quite often, you have coal on the grid in Nova Scotia. Are you just kind of not really doing anything? You got an electric car, but it's powered by coal. How is that environmentally friendly? Don't you worry, we will cover that in more detail. And as some of you might suspect, the answer is a lot better than you think it is. And then, of course, energy costs. So Ryan, that solar panel looks kind of old there.
That's an old photo. I didn't know they had cameras back then, and they have solar panels. So solar panels are not new technology. Things have advanced, obviously, leaps and bounds since this old photo from 1883 on the rooftop in New York City. Lots of advancements. Solar panel that size now, probably the size of your fingernail, would produce the same amount of energy, but it's an old technology that's evolved and changed a lot over the years.
Now that car also looks pretty old, not quite as old, 1912. Now the interesting part about this Detroit electric vehicle is who owned it. It was Henry Ford's wife. So Henry Ford, who, the Ford Model T that revolutionized the car industry, well, his wife, drove an electric vehicle. Now, since then, much like solar panels have become a lot smaller, a lot more powerful, a lot cheaper, a lot of benefits to them. I'd say, would you agree, Ryan, in the last 15 years, 20 years, that they've become commercially more available and more cost efficient?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, 100%.
I'd say in the last 20 years. Electric cars, it's since the mid 2000s and, quite frankly, early 2010s that they've really, really become an attractive product. And that's primarily due to the fact that the battery technology has become such that you can have a larger, heavier, safe vehicle that has enough battery capacity, that has enough energy density. The battery's big enough to not only propel it, a good distance, it can charge quickly, but also it's an incredibly powerful vehicle. We actually have the world's fastest production vehicle in our lot right now, over 1,000 horsepower. So electric vehicles are no slouches. Ryan, you want to take it away with the first two here? We're going to talk about terminology.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go through some of the acronyms, so we're not just saying things and you're trying to figure out what are we saying. So a few of the acronyms we use for the electrification renewable side would be two things, and they kind of work in conjunction together. So the electric thermal storage is basically a device that we place in your home. There's these bricks inside there to heat it with an electric coil to get really, really, really hot. We use those in off-peak energy, which segues into time of day, to dissipate heat throughout your home. And it's a part of being able to qualify for a time of day. So we'll go through electric thermal storage later on the slide, exactly how that works in your home. And then the second part of that is time of day metering. So having these devices in our home allows us to qualify for time of day metering, which allows us from 11 o'clock at night until 7 o'clock in the morning to purchase energy at 9 cents a kilowatt hour, as opposed to 18 cents a kilowatt hour in the day. So for me at my home, for example, I have a time of day metering. So I'm able to charge my Tesla at night, my dryer comes on, my washer comes on, my hydronic floors, all of the things that consume electricity will come on at night. It makes a huge savings to your energy bill by purchasing all of this energy, this excess energy that's generated at night at a significantly discounted rate. And you can have everything come on, even when we come out to somebody's house and do this conversion for you. It's a part of the servicings that we offer. We're able to set up even like your hot water tank, all of these things to maximize the efficiency with time of day metering.
So electric cars, they do take some electricity, right? Of course, and then you'd be getting it at a pretty significant discount. So we'll dive into that a bit later. State of charge is essentially your fuel gauge, right? Is your battery charged or is it discharged? It's quite simple. But state of health, on the other hand, it's a little bit more complex. And state of health is essentially the health of your battery, the capacity. So imagine that after tens of thousands of kilometers, hundreds of thousands of kilometers, your battery will have shrunk, right? It won't be able to do the exact same range as before. So that's your state of health. And it's really important when you're buying an electric vehicle that's used to know what your state of health is. There are certain things that can make the battery decrease its lifespan more quickly. So it's important to know kind of what you're purchasing. And of course, that's what I had mentioned at first, that all of our vehicles come with that. On a new car, you don't really worry about that because they're all going to be at 100%. The last two, kilowatts and kilowatt hours. Unless you're into the electric in electric world, those are, things that most people don't understand. So we're going to take a second to explain it. So most light bulbs in our homes are actually probably closer to 6 to 10 watts. LEDs are really efficient. So if I have, a 10 watt light bulb and I have 100 of them in a row, so that's gonna be pretty bright, pretty bright house. But I turn on my switch, that's using 1,000 watts. 1,000 watts is 1 kilowatt. So if I turn that light switch on for 1 hour, it's used up 1 kilowatt hour of energy. So a kilowatt hour is a volume. It's like the size of a battery. Like how much energy can we get out of this? That's a kilowatt hour. Now a hot water kettle is about 1,000 watts. A hair dryer might be a little bit higher, 1,500 watts. So if I had my hair dryer going for an hour, it would be 1.6 kilowatt hours. So an electric vehicle battery will be between 30 to 130 kilowatt hours. So the Ford F-150 Lightning having the latter, the biggest battery. So you could power your home actually for multiple days with these really large batteries. And again, we'll dive into that a bit later. So Ryan, do you want to take it away with solar? How do you go about putting solar on a roof, and what are the numbers and things that people need to know about?
Yeah, so solar obviously is a huge part of what we do. We have a process for solar. The first thing is sending us your power bill. From your power bill, we're able to pull up satellite telemetry, which are these two photos I'll describe here. We use your historical kilowatt consumption, which Jeremy just lighted on, to come up with an array to kind of get you as close to net zero, meaning, your cost of return and energy consumption are flatlined. Okay, so the top right picture we have here is a roof of one of our clients' homes. So the little black squares you see on the roof is where we would have strategically placed solar panels in relation to the arc of the sun. So that picture you see below, that sort of half moon looking thing with the bright ball, that's the sun. So that's using the sunrise and sunset to maximize the efficiency of this setup. And the different colors that you see on the roof are where we would have more and less sun. So we can, place these panels to maximize your energy consumption or your energy absorption by the solar array. And we're not placing panels on places on the roof that don't see a whole lot of exposure. So for example,
like north, right?
What's that?
North facing, we wouldn't put solar panels, and south facing, we would.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So most solar installs that we do are typically in the realm of about $25,000 roughly for the average home in Nova Scotia, right? This particular installation here, this kind of breaks everything down for our client. When we do one of these assessments, it's about a 14-page document that breaks everything down very nicely, makes it very easy to understand. We'll come to your home, kind of explain everything and how it'll work and benefit you. So this particular individual would achieve about a 55% net zero target. And it breaks down all the hardware and everything that we would use. So that's one page of few that we would present to somebody. And it's really cool to see, the satellite imaging and everything there to how the system work, what are costs associated and so on. And then the next slide there is basically your ROI is, if we're going to invest in solar, there's a huge upfront cost. Obviously, it's not a cheap installation. What is it going to cost me? And this investment, right? This is a big investment for a lot of homeowners. Is at what point does this become an earning product for me? So most solar installs in our market are in the 8 to 11 year break even, where you then start to pay it back and then return. So for example, this particular setup over the course of 30 years would achieve about a $51,000 energy savings. In that calculation, we've also calculated the increase of electricity. Obviously, that will change at some point, which is about a 9% ROI on your investment. So, realistically, it's a great product for someone to have, and there's lots of great grants and programs that are available that we'll go through later. And it breaks everything down very nicely. Here's the cost of the installation, here's the grants that are available, and here's what your installation will be. So that's kind of just a high level view of how solar works, what to expect, and kind of how the process is.
And Ryan, you and I, prior to this call here or this webinar, we crunched some numbers for the average Nova Scotian driving. I think it's 18,000 kilometers a year. And I think we picked an average electric vehicle, not just the most efficient one. And we came up with, you need 5 solar panels on your roof to offset using the average production of sun year round.
Yeah.
So for, your home maybe your mileage may vary slightly, but essentially 5 solar panels will offset the electricity usage of your your electric vehicle for the entire year. So some really neat stuff.
And then obviously heat pumps. Everybody's heard about heat pumps. Heat pumps are not a new technology. It's been around for quite a long time. The adoption of heat pumps, and particularly in our market, is going crazy. It's like wildfire. With the cost of oil and all of the other things, even electric baseboards. A heat pump is about 300% more efficient than an electric baseboard. They come in sort of two different options. The top left is what most people typically see, which is a ductless, or commonly known as like a mini split. These heads we typically place in people's homes. Part of the assessment is to come out, placing these in bedrooms, living rooms, rec rooms, somewhere we can have maximum exposure, open spaces. Most homes in Halifax are typically like a split level, 2-level home. Maybe one in the living room that can climatize the living room, kitchen, dining room, down the hallway into some of the bedrooms and so on. So it allows us to kind of, strategize how we're going to install that. You'd have the unit outside, which is the inverter. The efficiency of a heat pump really is, we're moving thermal energy. It's not technically renewable energy, but we're using existing energy. So either extracting heat from your home, transferring it outside of the unit, or in the winter, we're actually doing the opposite. We're extracting warm thermal energy out of the air and transferring that into your home. Even though it's cold, these units can operate at about 125% of peak efficiency up until -26. So realistically, all year round, the exclusion of maybe the super cold, the end of January, something like that, these units pretty much all year round can operate. The second option is the big unit you see outside. So this would be a much larger unit, typically multiple tons, and a ton would be 12,000 BTUs, where we're replacing someone's oil. A lot of homeowners, particularly on the peninsula, Halifax, are still on forced air oil. So we're able to rip out your oil tank, take your furnace out, get rid of all of your oil products, and incorporate an air handler of a heat pump. So you're taking advantage of all that great efficiency of a heat pump, getting off of oil, and having the added benefit of that very efficient product and air conditioning through all the existing ductwork in your home. And for us, we're able to custom fabricate all of the ductwork. We have a team of Red Seal ductwork technicians that'll come out. We'll do a site assessment before we do the installation, do all the measurements of everything that needs to be done, fabricate all the metal actually in the shop here at our office, and do the installation for you. So very common install. We call it a swap out or conversion, which we do a few of these a week with a lot of people coming off oil, the price of oil right now.
So Ryan, if somebody is spending just for their winter heating, if they spend, I don't know, $2,000 a year on baseboard heaters for electricity, a heat pump, would be at around $670 per year to heat your home at peak efficiency. Might be a little bit more than that, but it's some really significant savings on these heat pumps.
Yeah, and you get the added benefit of air conditioning, right? Because the summers are not cooling down.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about our electricity grid right now. So we're forecasting 60% clean energy by the end of this year. This has been a target that they've had for quite some time, and the closure of all coal units by 2030. So all coal. So coal is leaving Nova Scotia. It's just a matter of time. There's a few years left. 80% clean energy by 2030. But also for HRMs, own municipal buildings, they're all going to be net zero by 2030. So some super ambitious and fast-moving targets there. But it's really important to recognize that we've tripled the amount of renewable energy on our grid in the last decade. So we've had some tremendous progress, and it's moving in that direction extremely quickly. So all to say, right now, your electric vehicle, if nothing changed on our grid, we're about 50% smaller carbon footprint for an electric vehicle in its operations. If we go into the future, now we're talking about cleaner and cleaner and cleaner electric vehicles. Same thing for your heat pump. Your heat pump will be less carbon intensive through its electricity use, just because we're going to have a lot less carbon on our grid. So some really uplifting news. One thing I do want to mention about carbon footprint, it's a question that we do get sometimes from some people, and not everyone's aware of that. Now, what about the manufacturing of the battery, right? That takes a lot of energy, takes resources, minerals that are shipped from all over the place to get refined, to put in the car. And some say, well, I have a car, it's got 200,000 kilometers, and it's certainly the more environmentally friendly thing to keep that car on the road than to put a new car on the road. Actually, there's a really nice study that came out recently that has beautiful graphics, which I wish I would have inserted in this PowerPoint now that I think of it. But it looks at the carbon footprint of your gas car, carbon footprint of an electric car. So it's higher, but then it's fuel usage, and then it's electricity usage. You'll see that an electric car, even though it has a bigger carbon footprint in its manufacturing, over its lifetime, it equals out to about 50% of the carbon footprint of a regular car. Now, your regular car, if you have 100,000 or 100 and 200,000 kilometers on it, and you plan on driving it for another eternity, having a very fuel efficient car does have a smaller carbon footprint than just keeping an old car on the road for a long time. Quickly, two numbers. One, and I'm comparing vehicles with large batteries. So an electric vehicle with a 500 kilometer range in Newfoundland would take 20,000 kilometers to have that crossover of now being carbon positive. So that battery, the extra carbon intensity of that battery has now paid itself off. And after 20,000 kilometers, it's all gravy. You're in a net positive space. If you're in Nova Scotia, where we still have quite a bit of coal, it's closer to the $50,000 mark. But unless you plan on totaling your cars or throwing them out for nobody to ever use them again, every less than 50,000 kilometers, at the end of the day, you'll have a cleaner environment and a smaller carbon footprint. Okay, so Ryan, that big box thing, that's the ETS unit that has these bricks. And yep, when the electricity is cheaper at night, when there's more wind on the grid and they're producing less carbon, they're able to, and also less people are using electricity, so there's a surplus. So it's able to charge that, or not charge, but heat those bricks up really, really hot over that time, yep, and then dissipate that heat throughout the rest of the day, yep, instead of using electricity to do so. Now, by doing that, the Nova Scotia Power and other utilities are saying, hey, you're able to use electricity at a time that we have a surplus of, we're going to give you a discount. So that's called time of day meters, time of day rates. Now, with an electric car, I think it's 46% cheaper to use time of day rates versus regular rates. Ryan, for your long range electric vehicle, how much does it cost for you to charge it up pretty much from debt?
Yeah, so a whopping $7.60. That's a huge.
And that does around just a little over 500 kilometers, right?
Yeah, 570 odd kilometers. Yeah. So I'm a very high mileage driver. I do 35 to 40,000 kilometers a year. So it's a pretty massive savings. I just did 4,900 odd kilometers, and it was like just under $70. So pretty amazing. When you start to add that up over the course of a year or so on, it's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And so again, even if you didn't have time of day rates, so maybe it would have been $12 to charge that electric vehicle, which is still, a very, very small rate. But now with time of day, it's even less. Now, some people do ask us, okay, so I'm going to save money by not paying gas, but now my electricity bill is going to go up. And the thing I tell people is your net outflow of cash, money leaving your wallet, will be about 1/5 of what it'd be for compared to a gas car. In certain cases, it's like 1/10. And then once you have time of day rates, it's easily 1/8 to 1/12 of the cost of how much you put, into your gas car. Now, that's excluding the savings you have on insurance, on maintenance, and on your residual value. But just to give some people a bit of an idea. So Ryan, can our electricity grid handle more, heat pumps and electric vehicles?
Yeah. We can.
Okay, that's a very quick answer.
There we go. We're gonna do it. Yeah, there's some things that will happen, but we can. Yeah.
So essentially, every single utility in North America has been looking at this for well over 10 years. They know it's coming, and in fact, it's more a key of when will people charge their electric vehicle. If people can have time of day rates, or people can just have the habit of charging their cars, between 11 and 7, we have a surplus capacity. Our grid can absolutely handle, a transition to 100% electric vehicles. There will be some upgrading, sometimes locally, some transformers for certain specific neighborhoods, things like that. But again, this is all planned, and the utility is well aware of it. It's not like the electricity system is going to collapse. Now, when you start having a smart grid, that's where things get really interesting. So you can see a lot of wind turbines in the background there of that photo, but essentially what happens when the wind dies down, right? So if you have the ability during the day, or at night when the wind's blowing, you're charging your electric vehicle and the wind dies down, or, if you have a large solar array and it gets overcast all of a sudden, if you can curtail the charger, if you can tell the charger, hey, slow down for a little bit here, and just to, let the grid ramp back up, that's where we're going to start seeing a lot more integration of renewable energy systems, and they'll be able to take a much bigger percentage of the overall production of electricity on the grid. So when we talk about charging, there's a few things to understand. First of all is you can charge your electric car on a regular wall outlet. A lot of people do it. It just doesn't charge it quickly at all. And if you tend to go far, you tend to do runs around the province and come back and have to go to work the next day long distance, it is absolutely not the right way to charge your car. But if you're like me and you drive, 15 kilometers a day, that'd be no problem. I could have a level 1 and not worry about it. Now, I like to be able to go on big road trips, come back and have a fully charged car easily overnight. So level 2 charging station is ideal. So I'm adding, a level 1, 5 to 9 kilometers of range is added per hour it's plugged in. On a level 2, and again, a level 2, you can't install yourself. You would get a company like Sunshine Renewables to come in and just install them. Not rocket science at all, and it's not that expensive either. But that'll charge your car 30 to 80 kilometers of range added per hour. Now, a fast charger that you can see right in the middle there, that's not cheap. So you wouldn't install that at home or even at your work unless you have a gigantic fleet. Now, those of the slower of the fast chargers, you're adding about 250 kilometers of range per hour it's plugged in. Now, that speed is not a constant. It does depend on a few factors. One being, is your battery really depleted? If so, it can charge really quickly. And if your battery is more than half, it won't charge as quickly. So there's a bit of strategy and there's a bit of planning to optimize your minutes. But at the end of the day, when I go on long road trips, I just stop for a meal or I get a coffee, and that's when I'll charge up, and then I'll hit the road right after. I don't wait around for this. It's important to know that there are chargers that are a lot quicker than this as well. This weekend, I went and used a Tesla charger. So you can see on the right, superchargers, and those are currently only for Tesla vehicles. And they will eventually open up to other makes and models. They're going to keep 1 or 2 of the typically 8 chargers, and they will change one of the nozzles to accept other brands and makes and models. But I just used it new minus this weekend, and I peaked at 1,700 kilometers of range added per hour I was plugged in. So can my car go 1,700 kilometers? No. Was I there for an hour? Not at all. I was there for 8 minutes. I added a couple hundred kilometers and off I go. And it was a very cool experience. And it's a seamless experience with Tesla. You plug in, it bills your account directly, you unplug and you go. It's no questions asked. Now, if you have a Tesla and you want to use the other fast charging stations, like the one in the photo in the middle, you need to get a little adapter. And if you want one, you can always call All EV, and we'll be able to provide you one. Ryan, this is a video of your installation at home, I believe, right?
It is, yes. Yeah, one of our electricians installing a level 2 flow charger in my house.
All right, let's check it out. All right, so pretty straightforward, and definitely worth, if you're getting an electric car, to get a level 2 charging station installed, 100%. Unless you really don't use your car more than a couple times a week or something. Now, a lot of these homes that we've talked about, we're talking about adding heat pumps, adding solar, adding ETS units, time of day rates, all this stuff. For the average Nova Scotian home, if you're on oil, you will have to upgrade your panel. So when you do so, it's great to plan ahead and make sure that you get a panel that's big enough for electric vehicle charging station and solar and things like that. But there are certain circumstances where, let's say, if you have to, rebuild your house in 2 years and you're going to do the electrical then, or if you live, more likely if you're in a multi-unit residential building, and you can't just upgrade the panel. There are some workarounds that Ryan and his team can work on. One is this DCC9 box, and essentially, if you have a 100 amp panel, it has leads that are calculating how much electricity is being used up by the panel, and if there is capacity, it lets you charge your car. But if somebody comes in and starts the dishwasher and then the clothes dryer and whatever else, turns on some baseboard heaters, then if it's using up its capacity, it'll curtail the charger of the electric vehicle and only turn it on when there is spare capacity. So again, there's lots of solutions and workarounds to whatever constraints you may have. Okay, so electric vehicles, a battery electric car, a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and a hybrid vehicle. What are the differences? Well, your hybrid is that 2004 Toyota Prius or 2008 Toyota Camry. Essentially, you always need gasoline in your car. You have a little battery on it, but it's charged like a generator. It takes a gasoline engine to charge it. And sometimes when you get up to speed with your gas engine, you use what's called regenerative braking. And regenerative braking is using your electric motor to slow the car down, and it charges the battery, subsequently. Now, at the end of the day, you always need gasoline in that car, but you can be on pure electric at parking lot speeds, and then it assists it, at higher speeds and gets great fuel mileage. A plug-in hybrid electric vehicle is like that, but a bigger battery that can plug into a wall outlet or a level 2 station with a range of 20 to 80 kilometers. 20 to 80 kilometers is how far I can go on a plug-in hybrid. And now there is, spark plugs, oil change, a catalytic converter, a muffler, and a battery and an electric drivetrain. So you're really doubling up all of your systems. On a pure electric, battery electric vehicle, that's where you're going to get the most powerful, the most responsive, the most engaging drive, the biggest battery, and that will have the least amount of parts, right? It'll be the simplest drivetrain. So when you're going out on road trips on this pure electric vehicle, and one thing I didn't mention earlier for the level 1, level 2, level 3, well, first of all, 95% of your charging is done at home. So imagine owning a gas station in your backyard and you get gas at wholesale. When would you ever go elsewhere to get gas? It wouldn't make sense. You get it at home for the cheapest. So the only time I go to a fast charging station is if I'm leaving the province, I'm in a different province, or I'm going, let's say, to Yarmouth or Sydney, somewhere far. The orange stations on this map are all the fast charging stations, and the green ones are the ones that you would stop overnight, at a hotel or their convenience charge. Here in Dartmouth, we have IKEA, which has free charging stations. So if I'm there, of course I'm going to plug in. I'm going to, get my free electrons, but it's not going to make my car go to 80% charge quickly, right? It's a slower charge like you would have at home. And this is a level 3 charging station in the wild on a road trip here. So there are a whole multitude of apps you can use to help make your life easier for charging and road trips. So first one is plugshare.com. That one will show you where all of the charging stations are, actually in the world. It's not just here, but if you take a road trip down to Florida, you'll see where they are in Florida. And this app that I've got a screenshot here is abetterrouteplanner.com. And that's a really wonderful platform where I put in the car that I have. And I think in this case, I had a Tesla Model 3 standard range. And I said that I'm leaving with 90% charge from Halifax, and I'm going to Fredericton, and I want to make sure I have at least 10% charge left there. So it said, no problem. Make sure to charge in Salisbury for 9 minutes. So you can also have a little slider and you tell it to charge more frequently for less amount of time, and overall collectively a shorter amount of time, because remember, when your battery is discharged, you can charge quicker. Or sometimes I prefer to just stop for longer and have a meal or work on my emails, and I don't want to stop for 6 minutes. I'd rather stop for 20 minutes and get more of my work done. So it's a great app, really helps you plan, and it does make it a lot easier. So what's happening in Nova Scotia? Some of you may know, but I bet you many of you don't. Nova Scotia is home to some of the most advanced battery research in the world. So Tesla has the opportunity to work with any university in the world that they want. In fact, their headquarters is across the street from Stanford. So, you would think that they would partner with them, but no, they've partnered with Dalhousie because primarily because of this gentleman here on the left, that is Dr. Jeff Don, and who's been working on lithium ion battery technology. And those machines behind him, those are coulometry counters. And essentially, he's working on refining chemistry of the battery to ensure that it can last 1 million, 2 million kilometers, to have really long lasting batteries. And then on the right-hand side, also at Dalhousie, is Dr. Lucas Swan, Dr. Nat Perry, and that's Mitch Gregory, which was actually employee number 2 at All EV. He was an intern with us. And they're doing some really, really cool stuff with second life application of the battery. So let's say for some reason my car was in an accident and I'm not putting it on the road again. The insurance has written it off, but the battery's great. What are we going to throw the battery out? No way. And by the way, batteries are recycled. They're not thrown out. They're not going in landfills. They're actually worth a ton of money, right? They're like the most expensive component of an electric car. So they're worth a lot of money. But even before recycling it, you can reuse it, repurpose it. So imagine having a warehouse with 10,000 electric vehicle batteries and having huge wind farms. And when the wind is blowing, you're able to charge the batteries back up. And then when the wind dies down, you're able to discharge the battery. And that's how we get to, a carbon-free electricity grid, by integrating battery storage. So some really cool work that's being done here in Nova Scotia. And All EV has been working with Dr. Lucas Swan's lab for several years now in providing batteries for him to research. So winter performance, 2 parts to this. One is winter, does it affect your battery? And then the second part is, do electric cars perform well in winter? What do you mean? There's a lot of these electric cars that have rear-wheel drive, right? Ioniq 6 or Ioniq 5, EV6. We're looking at Tesla Model 3 is rear-wheel drive. BMW i3 is rear-wheel drive. So a lot of people are wondering, hold on now, when we're thinking rear-wheel drive, we're thinking a 1990s Mustang with no traction control, with really heavy front end. That is not the same as this here at all. On the left photo, you can see at the platform on the chassis there, between the wheels, that's your battery. That's your electric vehicle battery. And it'll weigh between 900 to 1,200 pounds. So really heavy, but it happens to be, first of all, in the middle of the car. And second of all, at the lowest point in the chassis. So your car is going to handle more like a go-kart. Even though you have, let's say, an SUV or a car that's a little bit higher off the ground, it'll handle like a Mustang. It'll stick to the ground. The car won't be flippy-floppy. It's going to be quite grounded. But also the electric motor responds a lot quicker. And by the way, an electric vehicle doesn't have a transmission. It doesn't even have a reverse gear. There is a step down. So your electric motor will turn more than one rotation every time the wheels turn once, but there's no changing gears at all. And when you go backwards, it's just the electric motor that changes direction. But essentially, it makes that whole system very enjoyable to drive and very responsive. There's never having to, kick down a few gears and for the RPMs to rise, and then you got power. It's got full power all the time. That means it can also respond to a slipping condition a lot quicker and can work with traction control really quickly. And all electric vehicles have stability control. And I'll give a quick example. If I'm taking a highway on-ramp, and I've got the steering wheel turned, but the car's going straight, that's called understeer. So that it'll apply the brakes to the rear interior wheel to tuck the nose of the car in. And if I've got oversteer, the back end slipping out, it's going to apply the brakes to the front driver's side wheel to pull the back end of the car back in line. So some really cool technology. In terms of range loss in winter, just like your gasoline car, that also gets worse miles per gallon in winter because of winter tires, rolling resistance, snow on the road, denser air for aerodynamics. We have all of that. And on top of it, the reason why electric vehicles are so much cheaper is because they're so efficient. The amount of energy they take to propel the car forward is very efficient, and there's not much heat as a byproduct. So this byproduct of heat, because it doesn't exist, you need to create it. So imagine having 4 hair dryers heating the cabin. So the trick around that is to have a level 2 charging station installed at your house. And when the car is plugged in, You can tell it to heat the cabin you're leaving at 7:15 in the morning. So it'll start heating the cabin before that. And it's using electricity from your home, not from the battery to do that. So when I hop in my car, I disconnect it, and then I'll turn my heating vents down to low, but I'll turn my heated seat, heated steering wheel on to ensure that I've got the most efficient way to heat my car. Ryan, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. We're going to have another couple minutes to rip through a few slides, and then we'll jump into the Q&A.
Yeah, lots of
but people are asking, how long does a battery last? So we have one of our customers. He's actually crossed over 400,000 kilometers on his Tesla Model S, and we're seeing all sorts of cool articles with electric vehicles that are lasting longer than 1 million kilometers. One of the things I find the silliest on the internet when I see people commenting on news articles that, oh, you think an electric car is a great idea? Wait till you have to change the battery every 3 years. Well, first of all, your battery's got a warranty of 8 years, 160,000 kilometers. That's the base warranty across the country. So that is absolutely incorrect that you would change your battery. And in fact, I mean, we service a ton of electric vehicles and we've never changed a battery. So you can see, and some batteries have longer lifespan than others, or longer warranties, sorry. And like a gas car, if you have a 100,000 kilometer warranty on your engine, it doesn't mean your engine blows up at 101,000 kilometers. We have a lot of engines on the road with 200,000-300,000 kilometers. It's the same thing for electric vehicles. Consumer Reports did a study on how much does it cost to maintain your electric vehicle. So you're looking at about 50% of the cost over its lifetime. And that's due to the fact that it's got a lot less moving parts, right? So a gasoline car on average has around 6,000 moving parts. An electric vehicle has about 20. So an enormous thing, catalytic converters, spark plugs, oil change, oil filters, all this, none of that stuff exists, right? So a lot less maintenance, but it's still important to maintain your car. So primarily you have your braking system to get lubricated and checked over every year. You want to make sure that works well. You want to make sure your alignment is straight. If you have, first of all, these cars are incredibly powerful, very quick. And if you don't have good alignment, you will wear through your tires very quickly. Not the end of the world, but who wants to change tires sooner than you need to? You also have things like windshield wiper blades and cabin air filters, but you can see what I'm saying here. There's not that much to do. And you can undercoat it as well. A lot of electric vehicles have some aluminum components, but they certainly have steel in several parts of the vehicle that would rust. So we're talking about savings of electric cars. That includes operating the car, includes insurance, includes maintenance, but also your total cost involves your residual value. So how much is your car worth, after 5 years? And that's where electric vehicles are shining like crazy. They've been keeping their value incredibly well. Now you can see I've extrapolated some numbers here. The cost to drive 250,000 kilometers. You can see how much money you can save by not spending on fuel. And insurance, I mentioned earlier, we've been working with MUN Insurance, and they've done some studies for us, and they're seeing between 12 and 15% savings on car insurance on average. Ryan, do you want to dive into the rebates that are available for Nova Scotians and for people in Atlantic Canada?
Yeah, of course. You've probably seen some of our advertisements or heard on the radio or whatever, the Greener Homes Grant. So there's a kind of a two-part thing here. There's the Greener Homes Grant, and then there's the Greener Homes Loan. So the first elephant in the room is the Greener Homes Loan. So this is a really good opportunity for homeowners. The federal government will lend you up to $40,000 over a 10-year period at 0% interest. So that makes things like solar, heat pumps, and all of these really great options, the return on investment a lot sooner. We can use that to combine itself with the Greener Homes rebates. So there's also federal rebates that are available as well. So there's a kind of a few different ways we can do that. Earlier on, we alluded to doing these central conversions where we're taking people off of oil, we're taking out all their old hardware, and we're incorporating these central units. So a conversion, as we would coin it for that, would qualify for a $5,000 federal rebate. As well as the ductless heat pumps, which is a very common installation. We do, 30 or 40 of these installations a week. Every livable floor of a home that has a 6 foot or greater living space, regardless if it's a dungeon or a fully furnished living space, we would have to put one of these ductless heat pumps. So for a 2-level home, you could have a minimum of $2,500, up to $5,000 if you have 3 heads, so the ductless units on the wall. Or if you live on a 3-level home, you would have to do one in every floor that would qualify you for a $5,000 federal rebate. So that's the federal side. Provincially, there is, through Efficiency Nova Scotia, a rebate program that will pay on tonnage. So you'll probably hear BTUs is the way that heat pumps are sized. The sizing is relative to square footage, okay? The federal or provincial government, rather, will pay $300 a ton. Basically, they tally everything together, and then there's also a provincial rebate. So you can achieve up to basically $7,000 off of your heat pump install. So it's a really amazing way of taking advantage of that as a homeowner right now. So it makes it a great option. Some other options with respect to solar, HRM Solar City. So add it to your property tax as a lien against the home. So it's a 10-year commitment at just under 5% for solar installation. So it's another avenue someone can look at, and kicking in conjunction with the grants that are available with solar install. So there's lots of stuff for homeowners. Kind of starting this process. Sunshine Renewable, we're an installer. We're not an energy auditor. So all of these programs are governed through Efficiency Nova Scotia. They're the provincial kind of regulator for this. So you'd have to book an energy audit. So when we come out to do an assessment, we'll walk through some of the literature. We refer people to companies like Home Soul Building Solutions. They're an energy auditor. So they'll come out, they'll do a two-hour energy audit. They'll walk through everything. They'll do a blow test, an energy test, and come up with sort of like a hierarchy of things that you should do. Heat pumps would be very, very high on the list, or solar, or whatever it may be. That now then qualifies you for 12 months to do all of these upgrades and conversions and swap outs. And there's rebates for all sorts of things. There's rebates for these ETS systems. There's for heat pumps and a whole bunch of stuff. That really good option, from free light bulbs to heat pumps and everything in between. So that's sort of how that process works. They charge you to do the audit, and then you recapture that once you process your stuff. So once we come out do the install, they come back out to confirm it's been installed, and they'll proceed and process all the documentation for you. So it makes it really easy. So it's a great time to be a homeowner with these programs.
And Ryan, for the HRM Solar City, it's worth reinforcing that it's no money down. The lien is against your house. So even if somebody's kind of tapped out their credit or whatnot, the lien would be against the house, and it gets added to your property taxes. But they won't let you do that unless it's a cash flow neutral or positive, meaning that you would save more per year than what's added to your taxes. So essentially, you get a free solar system on your roof, and after 10 years or 12 years or whatnot, you own the system, and then it's going to keep producing electricity for the next 10 plus years. So some pretty great programs there. On the electric vehicle side of things, we also have some rebates in Nova Scotia and in every single Atlantic province, which is pretty exciting. So on the used electric vehicle side, $2,000 off of an electric car, $1,000 off a plug-in hybrid electric car. And that's for vehicles that are priced between $10,000 and $65,000. If it's a brand new electric vehicle, it'd be $3,000 off. There's one rebate per residence per year, and up to 10 for each business. There's also some federal incentives on the new ones on top of that as well. Now, interestingly, Nova Scotia and PEI have e-bike rebates, and they're the first in the country to have that. And I was saying earlier, I've been cycling in the winter, and I've been using the Wild Goose, which has these fat tires, like these, I don't know if you guys have seen them, they're like balloon tires. And if it wasn't an e-bike, maybe it's a little bit harder to pedal them. But with an e-bike, oh my God, I can go through snow, mud, dirt, anything, go up big hills, go up the Citadel in February. It's actually a ton of fun. And yeah, you can just imagine me in the snow.
That would be that's a video there.
Yeah, no, it's a great time. And so there's some rebates, and of course, all the carries in stock a whole suite of e-bikes. So one of the last slides that we have is on, what's happening in the future. So vehicle to grid or vehicle to load. Some of you may have heard it. So all of these electric vehicles on the roads, have these humongous batteries. And if there's a power outage, wouldn't it be nice if we could power our home, if we could power our community? And it's something that's coming. It's not here yet. Nova Scotia Power is doing some piloting on this front. And we expect to see some development in that space in the next medium near term. Now, Ford F-150 Lightning can actually power a job site. I was driving one about a month ago, and it has 5 power outlets, 5 regular 110-volt power outlets that can run at full power. And you can, if you're at a job site and you got a chop saw and you got your batteries charging up for your drills and whatnot, but you can also run 240 volts and run a welder. So it's pretty wild. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future. You will need to have some specialized equipment installed, again, from somebody from Ryan's team, likely to go and install at your house if you were to use that to power your home. But it is coming. So one thing, and we're getting close to the end here, folks. One thing, if you do want to test drive an electric car and you are thinking of going electric, it's important to just set an appointment with an EV specialist, and they can walk you through all of your options and find out. And what they'll do is they'll ask you a lot of questions: what you use your car for, where do you go on road trips, what about space, size, cost, budget, all that stuff. And you can see from all these options here, there's a lot of different types of electric cars. There's even short-term rentals and leases that you can have to stop the gap. And 168 cars in stock, so lots of option. If you want to link to all of the questions, and not the questions, if you want to have a copy of these links, feel free to email us, either Ryan or myself here. And for the next few minutes, we're going to open the floor to questions. We already have a few, but please feel free to add more questions if you'd like. And we'll go up until 7 o'clock at that point in a few minutes. And then and those of you that have to run can run. And then if we have more questions, we may continue for a few more minutes. So Ryan, do you want to go for the first one?
Yeah, we'll go for the first one. And just kind of sidebar, if anybody wants to do things personally, we can come out to your home. We'd be happy to do a free 30-minute assessment. We sit down, we talk about all these things. So if you wanted to send me an email, I can forward you over to a booking team to get you an assessment schedule where you can come out and talk about this stuff too. So Gordon has a question. Does the ductwork have to be replaced to switch out a forced air hot furnace? Not all of the ductwork. The plenum or the ductworking connecting from the air handler to your existing trunks and return and so on would. We do all that fabrication in-house. So part of the assessment is we estimate that, and then we do a site assessment with our ductwork foreman where he can calculate and measure everything. The same heat airflow that you're getting now with your forced air system is what you would get with a heat pump. There are some limitations to, everybody's ductwork is different. There might be some inefficiencies. So maybe there are some things that we need to switch out, but most of the time we're able to just tie it in.
Before I tie into the next question, I want to remind everybody that if you show up tomorrow to test drive an electric car and say hi in person, you get another chance to win this heat pump. You get a double ballot there. And you can also invite everybody. So that's at the Halifax All EV store right next to Porsche at 3367 Kempt Road. Feel free to write us an email if you want that in writing. There might even be a follow-up email with it. Yeah. Nancy asked, is there a discussion with Nova Scotia Power wanting to charge a fee for solar panel users? Yes, there was. And thankfully, the province shut that down and they brought in a law to prevent that. There was a lot of uproar, and it was really a poor, rollout of communication on that front. And that is not going to be happening. There is no fees to have a solar system. Ryan, can you confirm the brands of heat pumps that your team and the warranties that they come with?
Sure. Yeah. Great question, Phil. So we deal with 2 manufacturers and 2 manufacturers exclusively. We deal with Fujitsu and we deal with LG. A lot of people recognize LG, consumer electronics, TVs. You probably have a microwave in your kitchen that's LG. Fujitsu is 12 years of parts warranty, 10 years of labor. We are an elite Fujitsu installer, so you get that 12 years of parts warranty. LG would come with 10 years of parts warranty, 1 year of labor with the option to purchase and extend up to 10 years if you're someone that seeks value in parts warranty. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion. So those are the 2 manufacturers we deal with. The primary difference between the 2, Fujitsu, once again, a car guy, is kind of like the Mercedes-Benz of the heat pump world. They are more expensive. You get a whole bunch of warranty, and they do operate a little bit more efficient than the LGs on a tech sheet. However, the LG presents a very good value proposition. So when we come out and give you an assessment, we typically do both scenarios and both brands and send both quotes to you. So you can kind of pick and choose, allow the homeowner to see which option would work the best for you.
Peter Nickel is asking, oh, hold on, my screen just moved. He's got a Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, wondering if I know about the charging cycles a battery can handle. So Peter, that really depends on each battery, whether there's thermal management or not, whether it can be fast charged. It is manufacturer dependent. You know, on newer batteries, you know, sometimes it's 3,000 cycles on the newest ones. So it's a huge range. Of course, if you charge it to 100%, it's not as happy. So if the battery that's not as happy won't last quite as long, that's the disadvantage of a plug-in hybrid versus a full electric vehicle. I'll go on a slight tangent on this one here, Ryan, for a quick second. So there's new battery chemistries, again, from Dr. Jeff Don, looking at lithium iron phosphate batteries. They're a lot less energy dense, so it would work on a larger vehicle or slightly less range. So Tesla Model 3 base comes with it. Ford F-150 Lightning is talking about having that as its base battery. And the nice thing about that is you can charge it to 100% and it doesn't harm the battery at all. You could just cycle that battery, you know, to the cows come home, and you get these wonderful lifespan out of these batteries. They're great for grid storage. Now, current electric vehicle batteries, you know, ideally stop getting charged at 80%. And in the case of a plug-in hybrid, some of them don't have that option. So you just have to do the full cycles. And I won't be able to give you a number offhand here. You'd have to send me an email and I can try to connect with my service team and Dave Giles, who's our electric vehicle expert.
Perfect. A couple questions here from Samantha. Can you swap out a furnace for one of those to run a hot water baseboard? Which would be like an electric hydronic system. That isn't something we do. We don't do plumbing. There are ways that we can circumnavigate that. We can cut out your existing oil hot water baseboard, which is conventional for like the older part of Halifax, like the Clayton Park area typically. We cut it out, we remove all the baseboards, we introduce electric baseboards into where those were to keep your insurance company happy. And then we can strategically place some of those ductless heat pumps to augment 80, 90 odd % of your energy consumption for your heating and cooling in your home. So there are some options that are available. We can present all those. And then this another question from Deborah. Have we installed EV chargers in condo buildings? Yes, we have. We've done them for single residential people, and we've also done them for the entire building. So there's two different ways, two completely different setups, two very different costs. One is a few thousand, one is, you know, $40,000, $50,000 to $100,000, very different applications. But yeah, we can for sure, definitely. We do residential and commercial as well. So
I got a question here. What are the price ranges for the electric vehicles we sell? We actually, if you follow us on social media on any of the platforms, we just did a cool little video on commuting EVs. So most families have, you know, a minivan or a larger SUV, and then they have one smaller car for commuting to work. And that's where these really small electric vehicles, I'm thinking Chevy Spark EV, Fiat 500e, Nissan Leaf first generation, Kia Soul. So they're all cars with, you know, sub 200 kilometer range. So if you're thinking of driving to Ontario, it is absolutely not the right car. But if you're driving from Eastern Passage to you know, wherever, Clayton Park every day, it'd be a wonderful, wonderful vehicle for you. And those will start, you know, around the $25,000 mark, depending, of course, on mileage. Could be less than that as well. And then we have electric vehicles that can be, you know, sky's the limit, you know, over $100,000.
perfect.
There's a question from Kathy that let me answer and tell me if I'm right, Ryan. So,
Sure.
you know, non-oil replacement for hot water baseboard heating for a 65-year-old bungalow. They have one mini split heat pump and solar on the roof, and they need another heat source for winter heating, and that was oil. If you wanted to get rid of oil, you could put an ETS unit, right? So if it's a bungalow and there's not that many rooms, you want to put an ETS unit, again, your thermal storage unit. You could have that as your base load, and now your heat pump would be even cheaper to run. You could put an additional heat pump if you'd like. Ryan, is that the right answer to that?
That would be an option. Yeah, that would be an option. The direction I would go. So we have a 65-year-old bungalow. I have a rooftop solar, one mini split heat pump. But when Sunshine Renewable installed the mini split, I was told needed another heat source for oil furnace. Yes, I'm assuming if we've gotten rid of the oil furnace, then we would need to incorporate some electric baseboards as primary heat source. So we can't use ductless or ductless heat pump. We'll go into duct in a second. Ductless heat pump is a primary heating source from an insurance company. They will require something like an electric baseboard. The central units, or the conversions, whatever central units, have a 10 kilowatt electric backup in them that keeps the insurance company happy, so that there's some sort of primary heating source incorporated into the system. That answers the question. So there's all sorts of different ways. If you want to shoot me a line there, Kathy, I'd happy to send somebody back out. Maybe we can go through some separate options or see what would work for you. Another choice. And there was one at the top there with Katie. We'll announce the winner next week on the draw. We'll post that on social media and we'll reach out to you. So I know you good question. Everybody wants free stuff. I understand. And then Michelle, what time frame currently for us to do an install? Ductless heat pumps, we're booking 5 weeks with a cancellation list. Impromptu vacations, COVID, things like that. Good chance we could be out a little sooner. And also relative to your installation, if we're doing 1, 3, or we're doing 50 of them. So if you want to book in something, let me know. We can make that happen as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We had, well over 60 people join the webinar tonight. Really happy to connect with anybody by email. Please do come by tomorrow and check us out. Come meet us, and we'd be happy to talk further on all things electric. And come try out some cool cars. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll catch you at the next round.